Okay, everybody, welcome back to Pure Cringe. My name is Maria McQuaid, and I'm your host. I'm here with my fantastical co-host, Heather Bombard. Hey, Heather.
Hello, Maria.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here.
Just like I was saying a second ago, I think this is such a fun opportunity for us to hang out and talk about stuff that we both think is funny and fun, especially with pure cringe. I think the whole premise of our pod, looking at really old seasons and seeing what they were like in their inception, what they were meant to be, and frankly, laughing at the way people dressed, talked, and behaved back then is uniquely fun for me. I know it's your jam too.
Absolutely. I think I've told you that one of my favorite things to do over COVID was rewatch the first season of Real World. And
Yes.
that was a trip down memory lane.
Oh.
So I told you that I actually never watched Project Runway because clothes were never something I felt comfortable in or my jam. So this was actually really cool to be able to go back and watch a series that I've heard a lot about, but never actually seen.
So that's cool. So you don't really have any history with the show at all. So all of this is fresh for you. So did you ever see
Absolutely.
later seasons ever or?
I've never seen a single episode, honestly. So I've, of course, watched the entire season one just to be able to follow along with what you all are talking about and to be able to giggle and know what's coming next. But I've watched this episode about probably 30 times just because I think it's fascinating. This is one of the best of all of them.
Heather, you're so great. Well, I didn't realize that you were a complete Project Runway virgin.
Oh,
I did not realize that. I'm glad that you've been watching it so far. What have you thought? So I realize it's out of context, right? It's almost 20 years old. But what's your overall thought about it? Do you feel like, oh, I wish I'd watched it? Are you glad you're seeing it now? What do you think?
well, I'm absolutely glad that I'm seeing it now, although watching it only to hear what you're going to say about it later was really my only motivation. Even when it started, I think it's taken all these rewatches for me to finally understand who everybody is and get my bearings around who they are just
I feel
portrayed
you.
as and on television.
Yeah.
I'm psyched to have watched it. Do I think I'm going to watch further seasons? I don't know, honestly, just because I am so not fashionable. Um,
That's 100% a lie.
no, oh,
Friends and
please.
listeners, that's a
Any
lie.
fashion ability that I have comes from things that my mom has given me that she no longer wants. I've worn hand-me-downs my entire life, and I'm just about to turn 50, so do that math. Like, I very rarely ever go out and buy
Lies.
my own clothes.
Heather always
But
looks adorbs, but whatever.
it's fascinating just from a you because it's so old, you can go back and watch these folks who really have no idea what a fashion reality show is or should be or look
Yes.
like and how to be a competitor. I'm curious when Survivor and the Real World, like I was mentioning, I'm surprised where this fits into the reality TV universe just because I'm sure that after this season, I was just shocked, honestly, that the US Postal Service was letting some season one Bravo show design their new uniforms or even have a chance at design. It just, the people that they've had to work for so far, I'm shocked
It's
they've
like
been
Banana
able to
Republic,
get.
right? Banana
I'm like,
Republic.
who?
Yeah,
You're
it's
what?
crazy. It's
Yeah.
you're so right. Honestly, that's such a great perspective and it's so true. The fact that it is new, nobody knew how to act. No one knows how to compete. Even Wendy, who's like the biggest bitch, barely knows how to be the villain. Putting in the fucking time. She's putting in the work, man. She's workshopping routines at least twice an episode. But I feel like what we're seeing is, to your point, this situation where everybody is like, what do we do? We do this? And I think that Jay is, that's the reason why for me, Jay is my favorite person to watch, even though I've been sexually harassing Robert almost this entire season. But Jay is my favorite person to watch because I think he's the least contrived, even though he is talking to the camera a lot. I feel like he is very much, I can relate to the sort of standing outside smoking a butt, freaking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can relate to his energy. Now that you've seen all of this,
Mm.
and who so far has, who's been some of your favorites? Who are your least favorites that we've seen fall along the way? The fallen designers.
You know, Maria, I wish that I took notes watching all the episodes. Honestly, I just did it for this episode because I'm curious who I was fond of as we went through. Because it was last year when I watched all the episodes, and I'm just going to run through the people that are left super quick. Kara, I think she's amazing. Kara San is just, ugh, she's got style. She
Yeah.
makes good quality things. Like she very rarely misses, and she's amazing. Robert, I liked his one suit that I thought was super cool. I can't honestly tell you anything else that he's made, and he grosses me out. That's Robert. But he's also, Maria, he is the best looking.
Heather has such good taste. Yeah.
Oh, he gross. I would probably date him if I was single, but I'd regret it
Oh, me
instantly.
too. Me too. We'd have to, yeah, after you got
He
some
could
kind
be
of
my
disease,
fifth husband,
after you
but
got some kind of sexually transmitted disease from Robert,
oh
yeah,
God,
we'd
no,
both regret it for sure. But
he
yeah,
would have to wear a condom.
he would have to wear 10 condoms.
Oh yeah. Wendy Pepper, God, I'm just gonna say her hair exemplifies her soul and it's tortuous.
Can I ask
So,
you about her?
oh
So
please.
without, I'm gonna try and do a thing. So do you remember that person who was on our team whose initials were DV?
Oh, on our team.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Reminds me of
absolutely.
her, reminds me of her so much.
Yes.
And
Oh my gosh, I have
and
so
I
many
hate
people
them
she
both.
reminds
I
me
hate
of.
them both. I think I never gave that person a chance because they reminded me so much of what I remembered Wendy Pepper to be like, because they look
Oh,
so much alike to me.
you're gonna love my notes as we go through the
I can't
episodes. So
wait.
yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
Wendy just villain. Okay, we get it. Austin, for the longest time when you guys said Austin, I pictured Jay in my head. So now that I finally have them straight, which it took 5 or 6 episodes of listening to you all, Austin is interesting and such a good human being that I don't know if Austin goes on to do great things. I sure hope so. Austin is a star who, like, this
Yeah.
was a great show, is a great showcase of Austin's work and what he's capable of. Just, he's a theater film costume designer and it shows. I like Austin. He's just adorable and he's 23 years old. He's the youngest one of the folks that are
It's
left.
crazy, isn't it?
And he doesn't seem like it. He's just super
He has a
cool,
he has a poise,
stylish.
right? He's
Like
very poised in some way.
a lot of the stuff that he makes, actually, I picture our friend Megan in,
Yes, yes, Megan would look adorable in almost all of his outfits. I think it's
especially
like that
the,
Zoe Deschanel kind of girl.
ah, absolutely. Yeah.
His work is, I agree with you, just so beautiful.
It is, it's just never, it's always symmetrical and just I look at it and I'm like, that's really cool. I wish I could wear that.
Yeah, to
And
quote
then,
Taylor
yeah,
Swift, he never goes out of style.
absolutely. Plus, he throws back almost all the time, which brings us to vintage store owner Jay McCarroll, who I just love. Like, I can tell that
Yeah,
he's a dude that I grew up with when I don't know if he's the one that's from Pennsylvania or
I
wherever
think
is,
so. Yeah.
but totally a dude I would love to hang out with. And his stuff is usually really interesting. So I can go on and on about them. But yeah, I'm interested in this one because it's so specific. Like, you either can do this challenge or you can't do this challenge. And so it's exciting because it's almost like, Maria, coming from a training background, do you ever
Yeah.
go to a leadership retreat and run a leadership retreat? So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fun episode. I love this one.
I do too, honestly. I was surprised in the beginning when I saw the name of the challenge. So it is season one, episode 8. It is the Postal Uniform Challenge. And when I saw that, I went, oh, I made a face. I squinted and tilted my head, Scooby style. But as soon as it started, I knew it was going to be awesome. You ready to dive in?
I'm so ready.
All right, so we open in the Atlas Apartments, and you've probably heard me say this. Every time I look at it, I'm always reminded of how much back then, when these shows were on, I wanted to live in these scenarios. Like I wanted to be Andre and Norm's roommate in the real world. Like
Oh, okay, yeah.
I wanted to live in all of these cool places that even now you just heard me say it, like that I perceived that they were cool. As an almost 55-year-old woman, I look at these now and I'm like, oh my God, these are like 7 or 8 people in the beginning in each apartment. These are
Yeah.
like practically in bunk beds. Like
Well,
this is not glamorous.
it's funny because it's later on at the beginning, but I wrote, okay, so the boys are in one apartment and the girls are in another. Okay.
Yes, yeah, it's funny. I
Um,
noticed that. Yeah, because Karasan was complaining in the beginning about Wendy bashing Kevin's leadership in the previous challenge. And I thought to myself, that must suck for her because she's stuck in that apartment with Wendy.
Absolutely. I literally wrote isolation because I was like, ugh, it must suck. And we get to that later on. Like, it's now a game of who's stuck with Wendy when. And so in the living situation, yeah, the boys are having a grand old time being boys in one room. The girls are having a terrible time being girls in the other room. But yeah, 2 minutes in, I just wrote Kara is just spitting facts. There's this whole preamble at the beginning of we're all just amazed at Rob's staying power was the
No,
quote
poor
that they
Rob.
chose.
I know.
And then she gives us a quote on Wendy. She's like, Wendy decided to bash Kevin as a leader, and she says it twice. So we already know, Wendy then goes on to say it herself, and they showed her clip. She's like, I'm being portrayed as a villain.
She loves this. She
Yeah.
orchestrated the whole thing, right?
Yep.
And that's it. So there's that whole sort of vibe, right? They're really trying to portray, in the opening sequence, that sort of vibe of, to your point, that isolation, and they're trying to just freeze out Wendy. And I think they all think that, of course, nobody knows what Rob is doing there other than he knows, how to be what went for charming at that time, which today I think, thanks to the Me Too movement, and correctly so, would be considered sexual harassment.
You
Um,
know what's hilarious is that Rob showed up at like 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the episode and literally I had wrote the Kara's spitting facts, like just being like, okay, so this is what's going on. Whereas Robert spitting math. So we've got 5 people left, and we've got
two
this
people, this,
challenge,
yeah.
and then the next challenge, and then that's it.
Yeah,
He's
sweetheart.
such a dummy. He's such a young dummy, but he's not the
Yes.
youngest.
No, he's young,
Oh,
dumb, and full of cum. He just, yeah. And he does what I call Heidi math, right? Which Heidi is about to do. So we head to the runway, and Heidi appears bearing gifts in brown paper wrappers with the
mm-hmm,
designers' names, and they grab theirs. And she tells them that the key to their success in the next challenge is in the package, but that they can't open it until the next day, and that they have to be up and ready at 6:30 a.m. And then they
mm-hmm.
bring out the models. And this is like we talked about before. I feel like now that Morgan is gone, I'm not as interested in who makes it. I didn't have strong feelings about any of the models.
No,
I'm only ever
none.
interested when it comes down to who's it between. And
Right,
so to your point, Heidi does say, as people are picking models, that it seems like everyone has created relationships already.
right. Yeah, it was down the line. Everybody chose the artists that they've been, the models that they've been going with so far. And then they showed Erin in the Envy dress and Martinique in that Amadeus looking
Rock
thing,
me Amadeus, yes.
right? That Austin had created. And he said he'd worked with both of them, but he's going to choose Martinique. So Erin goes home and has a very long prologue, which essentially was, I had fun with the girls. I'm going to miss this. Bye.
I'm just gonna say, I'm like, did Heather hear something else that I didn't? I'm like, what
No,
did she say? And
but it
then I
was
thought, oh
very
no,
like
she researched it. Yeah.
short, sweet, to the point. Bye.
Yeah, it really, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have not meant, we have not been meant to care about these models.
No,
You can kind of tell by the edit. Like, there was so much time spent on Morgan. Like, will Morgan show up? Is Morgan going to destroy Kevin's dress? Will she ever show up? Is she still in the state of New York? Like, all of these things, and even her elimination had like a boom, boom, like it had like the music.
hmm
So, they really wanted us to care about Morgan. They wanted us to sort of be invested. I think with the way that this one was cut, they were just like, yeah, Erin's, she's a throwaway.
there's no drama when it comes.
No.
Well, they're saving all the model drama to the end.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, there's only one other. Obviously, Melissa is left, who's the one that, supposedly caused drama by being a young model in the presence of a gross older man.
Don Lascivio, fuck that guy.
hmm
Yeah. Tricky Dicky.
But so I recognize her and I know her name. Also, Olga was the one that gave Rob such a hard time with the heavy wedding dress.
Yes, because it
Um,
was itchy, but I think what she meant was that it was scratching.
it was hurting her.
Yeah, I
And
don't think
yeah,
it's.
so I'm surprised that she's obviously willing to stick it out with him just because it's getting her somewhere. And I'm surprised he's like, yeah, I'll still work with her unless he realized his mistake and it's fine.
I think
Because
because he speaks Russian too.
okay then. And I mean, the only other thought that went through my
Because he
head
lived in Russia.
finally was I was like, she very obviously has a very opinionated boyfriend, so he's not sleeping with her. So
He would love to.
he could choose a different model and try to get with her.
Yeah, he would love to. I think they're picking the same ones too because they understand their measurements. It's quicker
Yeah, they
and
don't have to,
easier.
yep, they don't have to
Once
do
you,
that again. You're
yeah.
smart.
I don't know. I can't believe that Heidi is like, whoa, because then she's like, there are three of you and then two of you, and then that means Vicky McFickerson as well. She's not exactly the brain trust, but Heidi sends them home, and they're all trying to figure out what is in the package, and so they keep saying it's giving them like Christmas vibes. So
Well,
I wasn't sure. Were you one of those kids? Did you try to open up your gifts or suss out what you got for Christmas, or did you know where your parents put that stuff?
I don't think that I figured out where our parents hid anything. And presents went away even from Santa very early in my childhood, like in the first decade. I stopped looking for presents. It was just nice to have a surprise.
I'm just gonna say, I'm not one of those people. I would never ruin the surprise for myself. So they're all trying to like shake it, trying to figure out what's inside. Jay thinks there could be babies inside that they have to raise for the next 18
That
years.
that was hilarious, honestly. I gave him credit for that one. I thought that was pretty funny. I think also, Maria, you didn't look because you wouldn't want to spoil anything for your younger brother, whereas I
No, I
was the
probably would not.
youngest, so whatever my two sisters did was what I learned from, and they
That's true. They probably spilled the beans, and I would not have spilled the beans. That's very true.
absolutely.
That's very true. So yeah, I did like this scene. I thought it was really fun to watch them have those moments of honestly looked like everyone was having fun for a few minutes, right? Bit of
In the
childlike
boys'
enthusiasm.
cabin,
Yeah, true. Who's
I
nobody's
keep
having
saying
fun with
boys'
Wendy.
cabin, but
We'll
you know
call it
what I
that.
mean.
It is. It's like camp. It's Camp Project Runway. It is.
Whereas in the girls' cabin, Cara was very nice and did laugh at Wendy in the postal uniform. I wouldn't have been that friendly. I would have been like, stop talking to me. Did you ruin the surprise? Thanks.
Yeah, she's awful. She's awful. And when the alarms go off that morning, it's so funny to me because it's like everybody puts on their uniform, and all I kept thinking of was, oh my God, I would be so bummed if I
I
had
have to
to.
put that on.
Oh, those were really fugly.
I don't know.
Really.
They were rocking it. I do have to say that, what was it, Jay that thought he looked like Augustus Gloop? I didn't see it. Did you?
Well, he did have sweaty butt crack and front
No,
crack.
this was when he first put it on and they were
Oh, when he first
joking
did?
in the room. He was
No,
like,
he
I
was
look
fat
like
shit.
Augustus Gloop. I'm like, are you drunk? It's
You know who he
6:30
looks like
a.m.
to me? Sorry. He looks like fat Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon. R.I.P.
Oh.
He looks like fat Shannon Hoon. But
But I
yeah,
do have
I
to
don't get
say,
it. I don't get Augustus, but I see what you're saying.
when they arrive at the post office and they come down that elevator and the doors open, I thought they all looked good.
The safari hat is like just
It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot of look.
But
Yeah, I
skin
mean,
cancer is no
yeah,
bueno, so.
true, true, true. I think it's really funny because I was thinking when I saw Austin, I was like, how is Austin so adorable in everything?
All the time.
He's so cute in it. And I think they look hilarious, but he really does look cute. And so we get there, and of course, Timmy Gunn is there looking fresh and youthful. He's like the Steve Martin of fashion.
Oh my God, I love it.
He looked 50
Totally.
when he was 35.
I'm sure.
And so he says their design challenge is to completely redesign the postal uniform. You must choose summer or winter for the letter carrier. And so then Becky introduces herself. And the first thing I thought, and I wrote it down, was Becky is not from New Jersey because this is taking place in
Really?
Hoboken. I was like,
Oh,
Becky is
yes.
not.
Frank Sinatra's post office
I was like,
comes
this is
before
not.
Hoboken, New Jersey, when she introduces it. I was like,
Yes.
gotta get that line in.
Yes, yes, I thought it was really funny and I've never seen this season, so I had no idea what was coming next. I really just thought they were going to go there with the outfits on and then just go to mood. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I never thought for a second that Tim was going to say what he said next, which was what better way to understand the needs than spending a day as a letter carrier, and I was like, fuck, no, because I would never want to do this.
I haven't been paying attention. So they were in Hoboken, New Jersey. So I just don't know what month it is. Like, was it
Oh,
June, July, August?
it's summer. It's definitely summer in New York City. And this is filmed over a month.
Got it. Yes, yes. So I don't know. I thought it was a good idea.
Oh, it was great television.
Just because I'm assuming that they each had one piece of like all the different types of uniforms, right? Because one of them had a fur-lined hat, a couple of them had those terrible safari hats.
Oh,
Kara had the long pants on, a couple of them had shorts. So like they all had differing pieces. So the wardrobe that you can choose from currently has a lot of different pieces in it. So I was like, good, get their asses out there in the summer stuff and see how they feel. I couldn't wait,
I
especially when they picked teams.
oh my God, Wendy and Austin. Hi, we're
Mhm.
team awkward. We're team hate each other. We call ourselves team backstabber. It's just those two, one is more Delulu than the other, but at least Austin's Delulus are sweet.
Oh gosh, absolutely. Yeah. Immediately they get assigned to Route 6. Wendy's like, I'm nervous. I've criticized his leadership. How does he feel about me? And then she's
Like she
essentially
cares.
just a human shrug emoji. And
Yes.
then they go
Yes.
to Austin and he's like, well, I was friends with Wendy, but she's been deceiving me. He's like, I wish I was on the other team. And then they pan over, cut to good TV. It's Robbio pulling his shorts out of his bum.
Well, it's a cute bum. He couldn't
I
help
just thought
himself.
that it was like they
Couldn't
didn't
help
have
himself.
to edit that in. That was easy to cut out.
That was a choice. Oh yeah, I real you know what's so funny, Heather, is the more I'm doing this, the more pure cringe stuff that we do and the more like things that I'm watching, I am realizing how much everything is a deliberate choice.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
if we see something, they want us to see it for whatever reason. And I think this is another, as much as Robert has been trying to pull the wool over our eyes and fly low and all the other cliches and kind of blend in and charm everybody, I also feel like Bravo wants us to know that he's doing it.
Which is why I'm dying to know where this fits in the Bravo verse, because they've already learned these tricks before they get to this season one of a fashion show. So they've by the end of shooting, they've picked out their narrative and they're doing stuff. It's not as obvious as it gets like when you watch Survivor, but
Oh,
even the
right.
first season of Survivor, it's very clear who the villain is in that one. And just it's just so funny because as you go through this episode, I'm like, okay, so I know what's going to happen. I'm going to start paying attention. And it was just amazing. Yeah, that other team had it very different, Maria, didn't they?
Yeah, Wendy ain't no Richard Hatch, but Robert is charming his way through this like the whole show. They seem actually to have a lot of fun because Jay has got that great personality, right? So Robert keeps flirting. Jay calls him a horny monkey dog, and I
Oh my
sat.
God.
And then we cut to Robert and Jay and Carasan, and they're gossiping about Wendy. And they say they recognize her conniving ways and how she's undermined the leader in every project. And it's like the
Oh,
veil of her bullshit has finally lifted off of them. What do you think?
absolutely. They go through their laundry list for Wendy, that she badmouths the leader more than once. Not Austin, sorry, Jay said that she's here for more than just making good work. He wants her to come for him. He doesn't trust her. They think she's conniving and backstabbing. And that wasn't a surprise to anybody, I don't think.
I think in the beginning, and see, this is the thing I always have to keep saying to myself is over 1 month, Maria. So right now on episode 8, we are probably 2 weeks in.
You think?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel
right?
like it might be a little bit more just because of the way that later on in the episode, Jay says something like, "This is Groundhog Day. You get up, you do the thing, you just keep going." It feels like more, although it did it go for a month, including the time that they spend at home preparing for Fashion Week?
No, the whole show, what they're filming right now,
Okay.
those episodes, that takes a month.
So that's why I feel like it's
Maybe
like
it's
they've
more
got to
like
be two and
3.
a half to 3 weeks in because they've only got one more challenge before they go home.
Well, then think of it this way. For half that time, Wendy was pretending to be nice.
Oh, absolutely.
And Kiss, and I think Kiss, especially the asses, and try to get, do you remember when, oh my God, I fucking died. I can't remember which episodes it was, but it was like 2 or 3 episodes where Wendy was dressed as one of the Sizzler sisters from Kids in the Hall with like the smeared lipstick and the fucked up eyeshadow, and Cara Song would try to style her when
Yeah.
they all thought that she was like this mom figure when she was like 10 minutes older than everyone else.
Yeah. Oh,
And I think that what has happened was I think Austin was really taken in and I think he really bought into it. And I think that's why he seems to be more butthurt than anyone else.
well, while they're up against the fence talking about Wendy, I think they had a cut scene to Coruscant saying the Wendy Pepper that came here isn't the same Wendy Pepper that's here now.
Yeah, I think she
And
finally revealed her confessional face, the things that she's been saying to us in confessional. I think
yeah,
we're now, the behavior is now aligning with that stuff.
well,
And, I'm not surprised you can only bullshit people for so long. You can only keep up that facade for so long.
absolutely. It's going to crumble very, very soon. I do have to say, though, that when they were in the post office and on the postal route, I have to say some people took advantage of the time. So I gave the two different people names. So Wendy and Austin had Tina on their Route 6, who
Yes.
was the dark-haired lady.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them had Wanda is what I called her. I
Yep.
almost called her Wendy, and then I was like, no, we can't give her that name. So Becky had said their notes were that it should be comfortable, easy to move around. Then while they're still in the center, Tina answers questions that she hates her sleeves so long and she rolls them up in the summer. Notice she was with Wendy and Austin. And then Wanda, when asked from Kara what she does in the winter, she says that she wears this same shirt and a sweater. She layers. If she can gets hot, she can take it off. Jay asks her if she would like a warm up, and she's, yeah, I could see that maybe if it's tastefully done. But then they go out on the route, and you mentioned horny monkey dog.
Yeah.
That Jay and Rob were not taking it seriously at all. It was like, everybody look at me, how funny I am. Their Wanda actually tells them to act right, and Jay calls her mom. But they got style notes on the route, which they didn't show from Wendy and Austin, which are Cara talking about the polyester pants that don't breathe. She also mentions the dog spray and the keys in the bag and how there's so much that you need to manage. And then Jay is caught with his butt sweat. And Wanda tells them to remember those hot spots that they feel in their uniforms right now. There's a lot of talk about junk, the pushing around, the Victoria's Secret catalog, but there were some style tips that came out of that before they go on to the fabric store.
Well spotted. Yes, and I think that was the point, right, of them being on the route. I mean, I feel like poor Austin, his cart collapsed, and I think that they focused on a lot of things like that.
Yeah, their,
Um,
like
I think,
inability
yeah, to
to
do
do
the job,
anything.
to actually do the job.
The cart
And
rolled away, remember?
yes,
He
yes,
was,
and she had to hit him and be like, your
this
cart is
is
rolling
your
away.
responsibility.
And then, yeah, I think you're right with Jay was he's very immature. Jay is, as talented as he is, he's obviously a kid.
Hmm.
And I think when he gets nervous, this is his way of he's trying to diffuse it with his humor. And I
Can
think
totally
that's,
relate.
yeah, and I think that's what we were seeing there. And of course, he defaults to that behavior just like Robert defaults to try to charm and flirt, right? I feel like the exact same way. So they finally go back to the post office, and I'm reminded again that I don't like Becky. And then they head back to Mood after hearing her little sort of pep talk. I kept thinking to myself, if she only had some cute little pom-poms while she was talking about this. She was like, I'm a judge. I was like, oh, fuck you sideways, really?
Oh my God. I almost wrote it down because I was like, this is a big thrill. Like, there had to have been a competition at the post office
Yes, yes.
as far as who is going to show up on TV.
Yeah,
I
yeah. And
mean,
she's from one of the Carolinas because she's definitely not from New Jersey. So they head to Mood and they get $100 each, which is probably what, like $300 now, maybe 500.
I wish we had in today's money calculations, but yeah, I laughed at $100.
Yeah,
$100 in 40 minutes.
exactly. And these timed challenges already make me paranoid. But they run around and they're all grabbing the same colors, right? Because it's the uniform. So they're all grabbing various shades of blue and gray.
Yes.
And they come back to the workroom at
Except
Parsons. What's that?
except Wendy.
Oh my God. No, go ahead. Speak it.
No, I took a lot of notes on the time that they were in the store just because I was like, okay, and none of it is important except the fact that I have fun memories of being in a fabric store as a kid because my mom loved fabrics. But yeah, Wendy, she's all they show of her doing anything is talking to some guy about a fabric price for Italian cotton, which to me looked like white stripes. And I was like, oh, great.
I
What?
thought it was like for pillowcases. I can't. Wendy is, yeah. When they're in mood, usually it's exciting because there's so many different textures and colors and accoutrement. And this felt very much because they're kind of restricted and
Yes, they
and
have to stay in the
because
color scheme.
honestly, because I think they were trying to play it safe to a certain extent too, because it also had to be functional, that it really limited what we were going to see in terms of fabric. But by the time they get bring everything back, it's everybody bringing back their stuff. It doesn't feel to me like this is the same group two challenges ago, which would have been like 4 days, or three challenges ago. Like this, the dynamic has really changed. Do you feel that too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's four friends and an outsider. Like even so while they're in the store, Austin just makes a comment that he and sorry, Jay makes a comment that he and Austin have similar blues. And not even you doing something, it's because of the thing. And they spend a lot of time talking or watching Jay talk about the shirt that he's going to do with the oversized logo at an angle, and he's going more fashionable because he wants to put his stamp on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like they included that as one of the few interesting clips from the store because that's becoming what Jay's becoming known as is he has a creative thing stamp on it that he puts on things and you can tell he made it. Whereas Wendy's looking for her Italian cotton, you see Cara with some fur and she's looking for something in navy. Austin talks about the color blue being similar. And then Rob talks about how the ladies who are waiting on him in the store are in high heels and mini skirts. And he just can't help his charm, which I think his definition of charm is different than my definition of charm. Like, I think he thinks charm is like how attractive he is to the other sex. Whereas I guess that is charm. Maybe he is right. I don't know. But I was just like, ew, you're gross. Stop leering at these poor
I
fabric
know. I
girls.
don't know that he doesn't seem as like disgusting as Don Lascivio from the previous episode, but he is a little lecherous, God bless him. Yeah.
Every quote
Yeah.
that they are
Everything is
talking about
gross.
him is
Yeah.
how he's getting by on his charm. And then they're giving him simple math equations to solve for his quick questions like, Rob, for this cutaway, are you excited about how close you are? And he's, yeah, this challenge plus this challenge equals almost done. And then if it's not him saying something so basic. Everybody's talking about his charm, even himself. That's the clip they use. Like they're just putting a spotlight on the fact that what the fuck is this guy doing here?
He's a
Or
fucking nut.
the villain. Like which who are we gonna choose by the time we get to the end? It's a mystery. Nobody knows. Yeah, it's crazy. And yes, when they get back, something is not right, Maria.
Yeah,
Something is very
something
not
is
right.
something is very not right because yeah, Wendy finds a picture of her daughter. And she says to us, and I'm sure you caught this, that a line was drawn through the picture. In reality, that is not what happened, right? It was
Oh
a
no,
mustache.
absolutely. She
It
was
was,
given a mustache, but just a nice thin Sharpie line mustache. So it's just a line on her face, which is how she chose to describe it. But yes,
yeah.
totally. I have a picture right here in my notebook of a funny face with a mustache that says ha written next to it because honestly, I should not have laughed as hard as I did at that picture.
I couldn't believe it because when she said it, I thought, oh wow, someone like scribbled out the kid. She made it sound like that was like this horrible thing that somebody did, and then I was just like, oh, she just drew a mustache on the kid. So what? But she was
Maria,
like,
that's her only photo. She has no negatives.
that's yeah, she freaks out, right? The whole time. I think that, do you see those cutaways to Carasan's stank face?
Dude, I wrote down her speech and the quote responses, and this was a moment,
Oh, yes,
honestly.
please.
This was like a
Bring
put
it.
a bunch of people in a group and you do psychological warfare on them. That was one of her quotes.
That
But
was
she
nuts.
says, I apologize if you are mad at me, if I done something wrong for how I've treated Kevin, for how I've treated you, pointing to Austin. I meant no harm. If you wanted to do psychological warfare on me, you did it. This is the quintessential photo of my daughter. And then I'm laughing, like crying, laughing, because the photo, yes, it's her daughter, and all children are adorable creatures, but I laughed
I
so
mean, come
hard
on.
at this photo. She's looking up into the sky and she's so joyful. Blah, I
Oh my
can't have a
God.
replacement. And then they cut
How
to
very
Jay,
dare
who's
you.
something's up because she's crying. He didn't say I feel bad, but something's obviously wrong. This is genuine. So he's giving it like truth. And then people in the room are like, I don't think anybody has that kind of hatred. And Rob says, no one here does. Was it a Kevin? Was it a model? Who knows? I'd like to give $50 to whoever did it because it was hilarious. But she shoots and misses for me. She's really making herself a victim. What am I willing to go through to do this? I'm like, this isn't, you're not running for Congress. This is not even $1 million prize. It's going to be hard, but I thought it was contrived, but
It
I
just
don't
felt,
think
yeah,
she did it.
it,
So,
based on what we see later, though, it's not out of the question to think that maybe she did do a rehearsal. I feel like seeing Carasan's stank face giving what it needs to give 20 years later is was fabulous. Just like her, just like the look that she was giving her, which was basically in her mind, she's singing, "They're coming to take you me away, ha ha, hee hee, ho ho." Like she just sounded nuts. What do you think? As soon as somebody said Kevin, I thought that is something that Kevin would do. What do you think?
oh, absolutely. I didn't watch Kevin's walkout and what his final thoughts were in the room. I don't know if they do that for everybody, but I could see him just
Well, they do.
or one of the models.
Oh, true. I'll put it this way. Kevin, not the only reason why I'm saying this is because he also used a different type of writing implement, a chalk pencil, to write on the cardboard at Jay's desk when he was
Oh
leaving.
yeah, I
And
remember that. You're
so
right.
they are
He
alone in
totally
the
did it.
room. They are alone in the room. I think he probably did. I will say, I think it was obnoxious afterwards when we had to listen to her say that it maybe has robbed her of some of her competitive spirit.
Meh.
And I was like, ugh, just, you know what I wrote? I wrote, ugh, just make clothes. This isn't the Olympics, Wendy.
That's
Like,
why I'm like, you're
just make
don't be a victim.
clothes. It's just, yeah, she's a lot. And I feel like, yeah, I was hoping for a completely different outcome for this episode. Tim comes to the workroom and tells them they have until midnight. And Rob's design is convertible. And he shows us that it's from pants to shorts. Did you see the t-shirt that he's wearing, by the way?
I didn't.
So it's red and it has a yarn ball on it. And then underneath it, it says, "Here, kitty, kitty."
Oh God.
He's so on brand, Heather. He can't help
He
himself
really is.
from being on brand. Yeah. I, it's really, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that sounds about right. Jay's design is for winter. He has a turtleneck. I have to say, when I saw it on the mannequin, I liked it more later, but I can't lie, I never like a turtleneck. It's not something that I've ever gravitated towards.
No, although in the winter it is nice, I'm assuming in
Oh,
Hoboken,
for
New Jersey,
yeah, for
if
someone who
you're
works
gonna be a
outside.
letter carrier on the thing. Loved his giant post office sim logo
Oh,
in the back.
yes.
I
Yes.
thought I honestly wish that was the t-shirt that was under Karasan's outfit because then she would have had the absolute best. But I thought his turtleneck was the best part of his outfit.
Oh, yes. Once it was on, I really liked it. In the beginning, I think I was just underwhelmed because I don't love that particular style.
Yeah.
And I always expect something awesome from Jay, especially. I've always loved his work.
Mhm.
He actually says that he, Rob Austin, and Kara Saun are on the fashion tip and that Wendy is on the functional tip
Oh yeah.
with her blah blouse.
Oh yes, because Wendy doesn't feel that the US Postal Service should embrace too much change too quickly.
No, don't. You just gotta incremental. Atomic habits, baby steps,
Oh
right?
my gosh, it was
She's bad.
hilarious.
I know.
I was
She's
like, you can't possibly think that you can win a competition making almost exactly the same thing that they provided you. Like for a second, I was like, did she just take the Postal Service uniform and alter it? Because that would
it
have been
looks like it.
hilarious. Yeah.
She added things like a bust seam, those weird pockets. It was like
Mm-hmm.
a draw, like a cinch, I think is that what you'd call it in the back? Just things
Mm-hmm.
that were not, they weren't useful. They seemed like they would be a hindrance. The whole thing just seemed cuckoo bunnies. And then
Well, do you want to
Austin,
talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to Wendy's outfit?
the
The
shoes?
literal elephant that comes into the room to tell her about her outfit, or do you want to wait?
Oh, well, yeah. I think you could talk about that. I myself as am a huge proponent of feedback, and I think that our friend Tim Gunn is excellent at it because when he goes and visits Austin, he of course really likes the waterproof look, and he
Yep.
does ask questions. Same thing when he visits Karasan. He asks about the wider leg, and he says her look is strong. So I think he's not a
Karasan says she's layer, 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 layer. She says it 4 times. I counted. And she points out her drawstring pants, and Tim Gunn likes that. Austin shows him his cape and then the top and the shorts, and Tim Gunn doesn't really have any feedback for him. He's like, okay, 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 okay. I don't remember them showing Tim looking at Jay's, but I do remember
Oh
Tim
yeah. Yeah.
pulling Wendy aside to talk to her about her outfit.
Yeah, yeah. He's frowning the entire time. Go right ahead. Let us know, girl. What does Timmy Gunn say?
He calls it, he says that Michael Kors has it stuck in his head that her looks are dowdy, and
Agree.
he questions her choices, including, if not solely, pointing to the terrible orthopedic shoe that they were given to wear while on the route. They all five of them had them on, so it was part of their uniform. And he was like, if you think that this is right, and essentially, he says she actually is trying to defend this shoe. And then he points down to her super cool Puma. I don't even know what brand she had on, red sneakers, which for the time were pretty cool, right?
Yeah, they were awesome.
And he's like, that's fashion. She's like, well, that's me. And he's like, okay, then we're on the same page. And she was very upset at being called out in front of everyone, which I didn't really feel that she was. They were very low toned, don't you think?
Yeah, I felt like he actually brought her to the side, and I'm stunned that she thought those institutional shoes were going to be something that should hit the runway. I am stunned. Um, I'm not stunned by her design being dowdy because I do think it is dowdy, and I think it's also really uninspired. But
Oh.
I just I feel like what we're experiencing now with Wendy is her just like digging in because she thinks
Oh,
what she thinks, what
totally.
she thinks, what she thinks. And
Imploding. Well, she actually says at this, another one of her fantastic cutaway quotes, something, something, defending her outfit. So sue me.
yeah, she's
Another
very much
another
like
shrug emoji. So sue
two
me.
two
I
fingers
was
up
like,
to you.
no, it just you're just not gonna win. No one's gonna sue you, sweetheart. But yeah, and then though they close out that day with Jay's commentary
Oh,
on
yes, which I
everybody's
loved.
outfits. And so I'm gonna go top down. Stop
Yes.
me
No, go ahead.
if there's anything that I miss. So when they're talking about Rob, Rob can talk his way out of anything. But I have to say his pants are a little cartoony. He doesn't talk about the shirt. Then obviously he doesn't go over his own. He's like, "Oh, Karasan, she's always safe." And then he does a big joke about how she could fashion a family of five out of a set of curtains and make that her special project for her seventh episode. Like he's just going off, which actually makes me question then. It did make me question then whether they had filmed some challenges out of order, but they couldn't have done that because people go away. So him and Carr are going back and forth, hilarious. Austin, he said his outfit is so him, but he thinks that's going to be a problem. And then for Wendy's, do you remember his quote for Wendy's?
Yeah, I do. I believe that to be a burp.
Oh, yes, it was a very long burp, which honestly, if I could repeat for podcast sake, I would, but no.
If I could burp on command, I also would,
Yeah, but it was
but yeah,
hilarious.
I agree. I thought it was super funny and also on point.
Oh yeah, he's dialed in.
He's the everyman. He's representing the audience. Every time Jay's in a scene, I'm like, cool, I'm here too.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way as much as I adore Austin. I don't feel that way about Austin, but I feel like Jay is very dialed in and he's got a really good perception of what's happening.
He's watched, must have watched a reality TV show before. So he knows what we want to see on screen and he knows what we want to see in the confessional. And it's personality and he's showing it in spades. And I have to say at this point, like Rob's showing us something, mostly himself naked. Um,
Which Michelle is going to be heartbroken about because we've been waiting 8 episodes for his naked ass. But it's the truth, right?
well, that's why
Even,
she can't make it because she's at home watching it on
yeah,
Rewind.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're on to you, Michelle.
But like
Uh,
Cara's just
yeah,
delivering really great designs that she's proud of. Austin is delivering something that would look great on stage. And Wendy is just sue me. I'm doing me.
that's the
No,
thing. I feel
no.
like she's untalented and unlikable. The next day, they're exhausted, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and that is again an opportunity for Jay to talk about that. And we see Jay and Robert horsing around, and that's when, of course, Jay takes the opportunity to take Robert's towel, and we see his little butt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's
Robert, you missed, also told us more facts about how many people are left
he did
and
do, he
what that
did
means.
do, he did do Robert math again.
Oh gosh.
He really does like to do 1 episode left plus 1 episode left equals the finals. He learned that from Heidi.
I'm honestly
He
really
did.
just wondering what questions he was asked in his confessionals that got these answers.
It was probably like, how do you think everything's going? Are you excited and where that you've made it this far?
Yep,
Because
there's, so we're gonna go do our thing, and then there's another challenge, and then there's the
yeah,
runway challenge. How'd I do?
yeah.
Thanks,
I
thanks.
think you're right. I think it was just I think he was probably also just reciting his understanding of the calendar. It could be that. Could have been that.
You
Could have been
made me
that.
choke.
Sorry, could have been that.
I'm
Could have
so
been that
sorry.
simple. Could have 100% been as simple as Robert just like finally getting a joke.
I'm sorry. Is this question not about young attractive ladies? Because if so,
Yeah, he's just he wants to go. So women are like sports cars. Did I say that already? Uh,
but this does lead to one of my favorite bonding moments
this is
with
I
at
think one
least
of the most
three of the people
funny.
that are left.
Oh my God, Heather, I agree. Because they head into Parsons, and once inside, we see a shot of Carison, Jay, Austin, and Rob all looking out a window onto the street below,
Yep.
where we see a very interesting sight. What do we see, Heather?
We see Wendy pacing back and forth and doing lots of animated hand gestures. So Jay says that she's practicing her speech. And I'm like, I'm sorry, where in the runway show and even the defense of the thing is there a speech involved? I was like, what is she rehearsing? Because I know they edit this stuff down, much like you have to, but they don't
Yeah.
edit out that much time. So
No,
I was very
no.
curious what she was doing.
Wildly gesturing.
Oh, it was funny.
And I just thought it was so funny because she's out there for 25 minutes. And then Austin jokes that if she loses, she'll wander like that. She won't be wandering the city.
With
They'll find
terrible
her.
makeup and orthopedic shoes.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was so funny.
It was one
'Cause-
of his few burns that I've heard, honestly.
Yeah, I
He's
don't think
normally
he's
not
mean.
making fun.
Yeah. I don't think he's a mean guy, but yes, I thought it was one of those moments where that's where I kept thinking to myself, oh, I hope Wendy gets eliminated. I
Well,
hope Wendy
that's what
gets
they were
eliminated.
trying to make us believe because
Yeah.
he did say if she gets eliminated, we'll find her tomorrow wandering the streets. But I was like, you should have just said when.
Yeah.
She's terrible. There's no way she can lose.
Well, that's the thing. It's just one of those, yeah. I have to try not to be persuaded by the edit, which
Right.
happens so often. I'm so easily persuaded by the edit that I'm ashamed of myself. So with 4 hours until the runway show, Timmy comes in to talk to Jay while he is relaxing in the lounge, and he tells him that Julia, his model, won't be able to get there until 5 p.m., which apparently is when the actual runway show starts.
Yes. Although, Maria, riddle me this. Can't they just postpone it for 30 minutes? Like, they're the audience. There's nobody else there. Can Michael Kors or Nina What's her face? Can they not?
Nina Garcia?
I mean, is Becky gotta catch her flight? Like, what's
Becky,
I'm
Becky's
always curious when
the
like the
RV
model
is
can't make
idling
it.
out front. Her RV is idling out front
Right,
on the
like this
parking lot.
isn't unique. So,
Yeah,
but sure,
everybody
yes,
acts.
she has to be there by 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody acts like it's a whole. And also, too, part of me wants to go, what happened to Erin? You couldn't just call her back and just say, okay, Julia, you're out?
Yeah,
Hasn't been gone that long. It's been 20 minutes, right? Like,
although I and the best part is that would it normally be their problem? Probably. So I guess it's something that happens, but I love how this turns out. This was like the feel good moment of everything,
oh,
except for
yeah.
what leads up to the resolution, I
Oh,
have to say.
100%, 100%. So the models arrive at 2, and Jay is blowing up Julia's phone. I felt wicked bad. You can see him escalate with panic.
Oh
You can
yeah, he was me in those situations, 100%. You've seen me panic before a training that's not something's
I
gone
have
wrong
literally,
or
you
something's
never
missing.
panic.
I panic all the time, and his stages of grief were similar to mine, especially when he was laying face down on the couch, just screaming into the
Oh, I
pillow.
felt so bad. Oh my gosh. I felt so bad for him.
And the looking outside, I would be looking outside down the street for her to be coming while
Wistfully.
simultaneously calling and calling and calling on that flip phone. It was sad.
I wasn't sure what was sadder, the flip phone or just like keeping calling, just like calling and calling. But I have to say, I was hopeful when we heard that Robert was going to try and call in a favor, but I was
Yeah.
pissed when she said she wouldn't do it.
Well, I had similar feelings. So, yes, Jay asked was talking to one of the models and was like, maybe call the agency and see if they have anybody else. And that model was like, "What are you talking about? Julia's going to be here." Because of course, like they're all friends now. Like you can't replace Julia.
Right, right.
And
She's our
then
favorite.
Rob's going to call one of his friends who has a hot girlfriend to see if she could do it. And all we hear back from Rob is no, she can't do it. But then in the recap, Jay says, "Oh no,
Yes,
she can't
PMS.
do it because she has PMS." And I think honestly, that's why you're like mad at her for not being able to do it.
Yes,
Like we don't
yes, I
even
am.
know. She could have been having surgery or be a surgeon. We don't know, but because Jay's Jay, who is I like him a lot, but just she couldn't do it because she had PMS. It's, come on, guys. Like just I know
I
this is
know.
decades ago, but cut it out.
I
And when he
think,
was
yeah.
outside in the street being like, "Where have all the models gone? They've been replaced by these weird middle American people." And you literally look behind him, and it is like it's 5 o'clock on a work day. These are people in New York who are going home. No model is out.
I know. Models aren't just like loose at 5 p.m. They don't come out until later. They're
They're
sleeping.
waking up.
Yeah, it shows how much he knows about models.
But
You
he
know,
makes a great decision. And,
he does. He comes up with, I think, the best model we've had. I mean, if I may be so bold, the best model
mm-hmm,
that we've had this entire season, which is Austin, who looks
mm,
super fucking cute.
with 5 minutes, literally
Oh,
just changed his clothes. No makeup. Well, he probably already had his
has
makeup
the
done.
best. Yeah, he's got lip gloss on and it looks fantastic.
Oh,
But
but
that
yes,
hair, he's
fantastic in it too. Like
so
just,
cute. Such a
and while
cutie.
Jay is dressing him, what does he say? Did you remember?
Oh, she says, this is the most butch I've ever seen
This
you.
is the butchest I've seen you. And honestly, like,
And
I
I
couldn't
just
even
don't think
get
it's,
mad because I was like, you know what? This is Let's just
It
face
is, and
it.
I thought he looked so great. I kept thinking to myself, as soon as we saw him put it on, I thought he would make a fantastic model. He's got that great sort of look.
Oh, he
Um,
has the cheeks that do the
yeah.
suck in, and he's got great hair. He looks like a very wealthy boy whose mother takes very, very good care of him.
Yes, he has a
Taught
certain
him to
poise,
moisturize his great skin. Yes, poise.
yes, and composure that for
Yes.
someone that young, which is unusual. It's,
23.
yeah, and honestly, I really do feel like anytime he's on screen, he brings like a lightness and a kind of freshness. It's like somebody
Absolutely.
opened a window in the room.
Yes. And we'll see at the end, and please don't let me forget to make the comment at the end, but he's just sincerely a lovely person. Even at the beginning, when he was talking about Wendy, all he says that they were friends, and then he feels like she's been deceiving him, and he wishes he was on the other team so he didn't have to spend the time. And
Yeah.
then he was the one that said, I don't think anyone here has that kind of hatred towards you. He's just such a nice person. And the fact that it's just, will you do this? Yeah, fine. Let me get changed and go walk the runway. And he rocks the one runway in a way that showed off Jay's clothing the best. Like he could have been like somebody else and been like, I'm not even going to take this vest off when I get down to the end. So,
No,
this was
he
a
was
fun
cool.
runway show, I thought.
I agree. And to your point, it was a sort of a great show of friendship to just in that moment without having to think about it. He literally was like, okay.
Yeah, done.
And so few people do that. So to your point, I want to give credit where credit is due.
Full
Uh,
props to Austin. I hope he
yes.
makes it to the final three.
Well, yeah. And at this point in the show, I actually wrote it down. I was really anticipating this runway show. So I was super excited to get to the runway. And when we get back there with Heidi and the judges, of course, we get more Heidi math.
Of course.
Heidi, because again, part of her job is to say there were this many of you, now there are this many of you. And of course, she recognizes that, oh, someone is missing. And
Of
so,
course, she wasn't told. Like everybody's
no, this fucks
shocked and
up her math.
amazed.
This fucks up all her math. And so Jay tells her that Austin is modeling. And so she is instantly interested, which I would be too. And I think that it's not like anybody looks incredulous. Everyone's, oh, cool, okay. No one's like, oh my God, of all people. Because everybody gets that Austin will be great at it. And
And
the
as Jay
judges,
said, he has the same body as the model.
I know, I would love to have that same body as well,
Me
alas.
too. Gosh, hip
Alas.
bones sticking
Ah,
out.
alas. The three judges are, of course, Michael Kors, Nina Garcia, and Becky, who,
Mm.
again, don't love.
Becky.
Don't love Becky with the shitty hair. The winner
Hmm.
does not have immunity. It's a good point to make because up until this point, almost every single winner has received immunity for the next challenge.
Yes.
And it has been, so think about this. We've talked about how great Carasan's designs are.
Hmm.
They're aided by the fact that she has won a couple of times,
Yes.
and
She won
especially
last
in a
week.
row. And so what she's been able to do is really like stretch herself and push herself, knowing that she had immunity.
Of course.
And so I think that's why we're getting like some of her best work.
It's like when they talk about people who stop trying to get pregnant will get pregnant. Like there is that lack of pressure that allows your creativity to be less bridled by the fear of not moving on. So she gets to, you know, let her brain go to that next level because she doesn't have to worry. Good for her.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I think this is an interesting opportunity that's been taken away now. The opportunity to just do your thing, knowing you're safe, that safety net.
Right.
So because we're getting close, we can't give people immunity to Heidi's point because it makes it too easy, right? That's an automatic in to the finals.
Can I ask you just a quick question
Of
before we go
course,
through the
yeah,
runway show?
yeah.
How do you feel going into the runway show? Do you have a favorite?
So for me, it's almost always between Saun and Jay, with
Ooh.
occasionally Austin. I always like Austin's work, but very rarely is it my number one.
So in this case, if you had to rank one, two, three, how you felt from what you had seen before you saw the final runway show.
Ugh. So I would have done Saun, Jay, and Austin.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, I would have gone with Kara first because I want every piece of
Same,
her
same.
outfit.
Yeah, instantly. Yeah.
Austin's I didn't like. Wendy's I didn't like. Roberts, I honestly couldn't wear that t-shirt. I don't think any person really could feel good in that. Even the model didn't feel comfortable in it. But I did like those pants, honestly. Everybody poops
Who
on them,
they
but I
were
liked them.
cool. No,
And
I
Kara
agree.
did say, Rob, you got to stop coming up with this stuff, like pants and shorts. And then Jay's, I really liked a lot of aspects of Jay's. So we both leave Wendy and Austin out. I don't blame us. I'm just curious what you thought, because this was a spicy runway
Yeah,
walk and
yeah.
reckoning at the end.
These I thought Wendy's had a couple of good looks throughout the show. I think maybe
Hmm.
two that I thought were like decent. One, the look that she won on, the one that had the capelet, it was like navy blue. It was very
Oh, that
like
was the Banana
Jackie O.
Republic commercial one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's
But
her
that's the only
style.
reason why she won.
Yeah, so she's very boring and generic. But I thought that was cute.
It
But
was.
most of her stuff I don't like. And so when I see that she's starting the show, I'm like, oh fuck. Has summer, and somehow the look on Melissa is both aging and juvenile. So she is suddenly a
Oh,
40-year-old divorced mom, ex-military, three kids from three different fathers. It's a whole thing. She came out and there was an awful backstory. She drinks a lot on the weekends. I don't know. It was not good. This look
it
needs
was
a after
terrible.
school special. It was not okay.
Y-
Plead on the
Her
side,
hair,
Wendy.
like
Fuck
I
you.
could care less. Like hair is hair, but they put her hair in a low pony down in the back. So she literally looked like
A
a
Marine.
sad, yeah, it was just, and then that stupid, I don't even know how she expects that a mail carrier's bag will be held up by a strip of Velcro on the side
It'll just
of
tear the
a
shirt.
shirt just
Just
because I'm like, okay, so you got the princess cut blouse, but do you understand boobs in general? I'm just curious. Like my shoulder, no, it's so terrible. I don't even mind the side pleat, which we will talk about later. I don't care that it widens the thing, but it was all terrible. So, yeah, initial feelings about Wendy's was the shoes were the best part, and those were shoes she brought from
they were
home.
her own shoes.
And just because they were red, so I loved the shoes.
No, I thought the shoes were cute too. I was hoping for more going into Austin
Oh, he
as
walked out, and
summer.
I wrote silly.
Do you know what I wrote? It's so I really want you to close your eyes and think of this.
Yeah.
So she walked out, and Martinique is beautiful. So she walked out, and I thought Paddington Bear,
Oh my God, that was the
hat
second
and
thing
rain
that I
cape.
wrote down,
I,
Maria, Paddington
I,
Bear.
I was like,
Only
no,
because it took me forever to come up with that because I was like, who does she look like? No, it's not Little Red Riding Hood. That hat is so
yeah.
specific. I'm like, no, it's not Curious George. Curious George did have that hat, but it wasn't yellow.
Oh,
It was
it's so
blue,
funny. Oh
yellow.
my
I'm like,
God.
oh, Paddington, 100% with that stupid cape looking like his coat. All
And
she
then
needed was yellow boots. And honestly,
underneath
that would have
it,
been super cute.
it's like literally beach blanket bingo. I was like,
Oh,
what's happening? Why is this like something that is in
that's why I
a
wrote
Frankie
silly.
Valli and a net Funicello
Well, when you did
movie?
that
What the
length of
fuck?
shorts, I don't know about you, but like that length of shorts,
Is not good on anyone, I don't think. But
no, especially not if they're straight. And then they just seem to like taper in, and even he's pulling on the shorts and he was like, "Oh, maybe this isn't as stretchy." But anyway, yeah, I thought it was silly, and yeah, I wasn't the only one.
He's a dress designer. I feel like he's a dress guy. I don't like anything that he's made that isn't a dress.
I was like, "You do this for costume and theater. Like this 100% would look great in Singing in the Rain." Do 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 do. But yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I felt bad when as soon as I saw Paddington Bear come out.
But
And
then you
then
felt better because Kara San came out.
and I literally thought to myself I would wear and I wrote, I want to work at the post office. It's all super chic, military inspired. I would wear all of it. How about you?
It, I wrote a heart and I wrote everything is great. Like just the drawstring pants. I loved the utility belts. I'm not gonna think about her shoes, but I think those red Wendy shoes would look great. They don't, she had like
Oh
heels
yeah,
on.
yeah.
The red Wendy shoes would be a super cute tie-in. And
Yeah.
also, just to say, I forgot to say this, Wendy, her shoes were the best part, but I'm like, the post office needs a shoe contract because if everybody at the post office is wearing like red Pumas that were made for the post office, that's a reason to go work at the post office.
People
But
would love that.
yeah, so I thought everything was great. Her pants were great. The belt was great. I loved the sweater. I thought it was very similar cut at the neck to what we will see from Rob, but it was a second layer. She added the pockets down below, which Wendy had added, so I liked the utility pocket there. And then she had the amazing fur-lined waterproof vest and the super cute US Postal Service hat, which I think
So
was
cute.
something that they were given that already existed. So I think they had that from the uniforms they were given. But I thought she tied it together fantastically. And as everybody used the word, it was sexy and it was high fashion. Like she knocked it out of the park again.
Oh, I agree. I agree. It really did. I think my favorite piece of hers of the things that she had and her look was the tie-in with the vest and with the hat. And I think
Hmm.
you're right, because Austin also will wear the hat in a couple of seconds. So I think the hat was part of what was given to them. But I think she was really smart. I think she took chances, but she was really smart in the way that she took them. And of course, everything with her, just like with Jay, is like impeccably finished. So nobody can ever look at any of her work and be like, and that looks like you stopped three-quarters of the way through, or and that looks like that's a half-baked outfit, or that concept is not fully thought through. I don't think you like from Carasan, it's very professional. She's clearly got the experience that she tells us every 20 minutes, but
Absolutely.
it's a wonder to behold because she really is talented.
Yeah, and she has such just like I feel Jay really does. She has a true, well, actually, Austin too. Austin, Kara, and Jay have a true sense of style that they enjoy, and they have their own, as Jay put it earlier, like their own stamp on things. Like they have their own looks developed. I think that unfortunately, Robert is interested in making sexy clothes and Wendy
And
is
sexy
interested in
time.
winning,
He wants
and she just lost track. But yeah, Kara's was perfect. And then we get Robert's outfit.
to
So the one thing that I wrote down was idiot, and I underlined
Rabio.
that twice. And then one thing that will always stick out to me, though I didn't write it down, is the moment his model got out, she kept pulling the shirt down in the back, which I was like, sweetheart, like you can show your belly. And I think even she was like, this is the shirt that I was given to wear. It was terrible. The shirt was like, I don't know. It may have been fabric. I'm not quite sure. Was it painted on, Maria?
It was hard to tell because I was so distracted by the fact that she wasn't wearing a bra.
Oh, I don't think she could have,
Uh,
honestly.
The whole outfit was just so bad. And she is such a pretty girl and
Hmm.
she has a lot of presence. And I will say, I love those pants. I
Me
love the
too.
convertible pants. I really felt like the convertible pants should be viable in some form for the
Not
post
that
office.
form, but
No, but
yes,
but in
some
some
form.
form, I think that, which is the tough part for Robert. Yeah, it was tough to watch him, but luckily Jay pulls it out in the end. Would you want to share your thoughts on Jay's design modeled by the super cute Austin?
Oh, I honestly, I gave it a check mark. Kara got the heart. Jay got the check mark. Everybody else got comments. But with Jay's, I thought it was very similar to Kara-san's. I think that he also understood the assignment of trying to find something that was fashionable and functional. Um, but I do feel like his design breaks down a little bit under questioning, so I didn't put him near the top at all, but I did, as I told you, I gave him number three because I loved Robert's pants. So I I thought it was good and it looked good, but I definitely agree with some of the judge comments on his. So it came in third for me. What about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I loved the turtleneck. I thought it was cute. I really
Yes,
thought that the
favorite part.
logo on the back was awesome. I think that to your point earlier, that plus Carasan's look or Jay's look as part of the new wardrobe for postal workers. You're right.
Absolutely.
If we were talking about a collection, the week before, none of their looks corresponded really, but feel like these two looks really felt like they were part of the same collection. And I think Austin really sold it as the model because he was so cute.
Oh, and I mentioned this before, but he really did. He took off the vest at the right time. He twirled in the right way to
Yeah.
show off the thing. Like he did such a great job, and you could tell that he was not disgusted. Imagine if they were like, "Okay, Wendy's model didn't show up. Can you please wear that?" Like I would have said no, but like he was so excited to go out and show off who I truly feel is his friend's creation.
Yes,
So
yes.
it was fun because that's not competition. That's like just
Yeah.
just people who what do you call them? Not coworkers, like
Colleagues.
industry leaders. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
colleagues. Like it was very cool.
Yeah,
And
no, I agree.
but yeah, the honestly, this is one of the hardest feedback sessions I've ever experienced because it feels
Oh,
like at this
yeah.
point we're gonna get because we're almost at the end of the episode. Literally, all they have to do is deliberate. They have to give feedback, deliberate, and then choose the folks. And they do that in very short order because the episode has told us already what's going to happen. Have you been paying attention,
I've,
listeners?
I,
Because
right?
damn, like this is rough. I'm ready,
Yeah,
but
no,
ooh,
I agree. When the show is over and Heidi asked the designers to get on the runway and bring up their models, I'm really struck by how few people there are on there without doing Heidi math and how, to your point, pointed every single fucking question is. So Heidi asked Karasan to start, and everybody seems to love the tool belt, the fur-lined vest. Michael Kors really likes it. And I'm not surprised. Everybody, I don't think that Wendy would respond like Karasan is the golden child. I don't believe that. I believe that Karasan is just really good at her job.
she's talented. Yeah.
And so there isn't a lot of negative feedback.
Maria, I don't know if you caught this, but there really wasn't much time for feedback because the moment that Michael Kors called it functional and sexy and the most successful of the fashions that were put out, Jay was like, okay, I'll go back now.
Yeah.
And good old Becky was like, oh no, ha ha ha, why don't you tell me about yours? I don't even think Nina Garcia said anything, nor did Becky. Like the only feedback we got was from Michael Kors because then Becky's tell me about yours. And so Jay tells us about his.
Yeah. No, I was surprised actually that she said that. Do you think that it was just like she did it in the moment because she doesn't know that that's his kind of sense of humor and didn't want him to feel bad?
I don't know. What's interesting is that Jay's next, and Jay also didn't get any Nina Garcia feedback shown. So they may have edited it that way so that it seemed like it, but I think also like Becky, like most of us who are new to a thing and we haven't been there the whole time, like we get a little too big for our britches and we're like, okay, I'm a character now, I'm a judge. Let's move on to the next thing. And they were probably like, yeah, we don't need to go on about how Cars is going to win. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Let's keep going to Jay's, who
Becky's like, make
honestly
it
is number
happen.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know. So Michael Kors says we have some talk about whether or not the pants are waterproof. Jay keeps calling them metallicized. It's just like a little metallic thread
I
running
was just
through.
like, I don't get it. What they just have a little sheen. Are they waterproof? I was like, so they, and then Michael goes, but they could be
They
waterproof.
could be
It's
okay.
like, what the fuck are you talking about? What kind of
Uh,
witchcraft is this?
but then he was like, because Michael Kors is a feminist and knows a lot about how women feel in clothes.
And how they're
So
like
he was like,
cars.
women are going to feel butch already in a Postal Service uniform, and this is just even worse. But yeah,
Michael
thank you,
Kors thinks
Michael.
everything is butch.
I do have to say, though, my only comment about his, yes, did I like the pants? No, that was a fail for me. I didn't love them. I couldn't see myself chafing in those pants every day at work. But the other thing was like those boots, come on, there is no pair of knee-high boots in the world
No,
that
true.
are comfortable to walk in all day, every day. So his was more fashion than function, and he admitted that. But that turtleneck doesn't matter. He could have, Austin could have been naked on that stage in that turtleneck, and I would have voted for Jay.
What's funny, I think that all of this, all of the talk around Carasan and Jay really must have had Nina like working up a little froth because when she gets to Austin, she goes right in and says that she thinks that there's no function.
Oh, no function. It's too tight.
And why did
And
nobody say Paddington Bear? I feel like it's very clearly a Paddington Bear reference.
well,
Um,
she does give a reference, but before she does that, Michael Kors calls it Little
Costuming.
Doris Day,
Yes.
costumey.
Yeah.
And then after they walk off stage, but we might as well say it now, Nina Garcia was like, I finally remember what it reminded me of, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, she's
Which
a little
honestly,
slow.
then they showed the picture of her in the cape, and I was like, well, it is the only character in a cape, and okay, I get it. Cool, cool,
And
cool.
I can imagine Austin creating a little Red Riding Hood costume, so I can't really push back. I
Do you
really can't.
remember his face though when she quickly was like, I don't see how this is functional? And he was like, "Huh?"
I think
Like
he
he
was very
literally
surprised
open
when he
mouth
doesn't do
double
well.
caked.
Yeah. He always expects to do well, and I think he's stunned when he doesn't.
Oh, he shook his head no. I was like, oh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. He didn't.
Well, I think that he doesn't have the gift of the gab the way that Robert does. And he
Oh,
really
yeah.
can't talk his way out of these things. We'll see, though, in a second here when we start to look at Robert's look, that it's going to be very hard for him to talk his way out of this because Nina is disappointed.
Yes, does she go to Robert next or Wendy? Robert?
I have Robert and then Wendy. And then she says that she's disappointed because it looks unfinished.
Yes, that
He
he put
doesn't know
in
what the
no
fuck.
effort,
Yeah, she
she
doesn't know what
said.
the fuck he's been doing. And Michael Kors also thinks it sucks.
He says that top is entirely too casual, which, if we all go back to it, even Wanda said, oh, Jay, can we have a warm-up soup? Yes, if it's tastefully done, because you're representing the post office. Like Rob
Exactly.
was like, I think the post office should be like that fabric store where girls are in high heels and they're flirting with me.
Should be like the fifth element. Yeah, I know.
No bras.
Yeah, I just, everything with Robert is so like sexualized. And I think that now that I'm thinking about it, everything has this veneer of being unfinished or underdone or not quite complete.
Mm.
And so I think this is the pattern. And now this is the escalation. I think that Robert has tried to charm his way out of so much, but I think he's reached a point.
Yes.
But we are going to end on the person with the least charm and charisma.
Oh my. Wendy.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Everybody hates everything.
Nina Garcia goes on a small rant about the side pleat, which
Yes,
I starred,
yes.
and I honestly don't know why I put a star down, but it was like hilarious because Michael Kors picks right up on it and it's like a side pleat, like not shock and horror, but I'm like, oh, side pleats, apparently everybody's enemy. And then he also, woman of the people, goes on and tells us how pockets make ladies feel fat. So she failed
He's every
miserably.
woman. Let me tell you,
He's
every
every
he
woman.
really is. He'll let you know how you feel, ladies. Just stick around, and Michael Kors will tell you how to dress and how to feel.
Well, he did say at the end, he was like, I don't know about you. You want something that functions, but at the end of the day, you want to feel groovy. So obviously, he knows what us ladies like.
I'm ashamed to say that maybe the only thing that he's ever said that I understood. I was like, yeah, I do want to feel groovy. I understand. I say, yeah, sadly, I say groovy as well, which
Well,
makes me want to rethink some of my jargon.
but it was just so funny when you say groovy, which you have said for the decade, I think that I've known you. It's cool. When he said it at that point, I was like, what? I was like, no, what?
It was like
No.
somebody's dad saying it. I know.
Oh God, Michael Kors. But I can't wait to get into what they say about their styles after they send them off
That's
stage because
that's
it is amazing.
That's the best part. Okay, so the judges are finally done talking to them, and so they send them away, and we find out now that the judges are fucking finally on to Robert, amongst other
Oh, so
people. So
quick.
go ahead, tell us what you saw, how you felt about it. This part I thought was particularly juicy. Usually, because there's so many designers, we don't see a lot of information per designer, but because
No.
Heidi Math, we're down to a few designers, we can get into some good poop.
Well, and I have to say, they honestly skip over everybody who we know is safe at this point, and they only go in depth about the three question marks. So immediately, I can tell you, they first talk about Austin, which I'm going to skip over really quickly because they go next to Kara Saun, which is just good thing after good thing plus plus plus. They then talk about Rob, who I'm going to skip over because they move on to Jay, which the only comment that I wrote down that they said about him was that he's polished. And then they move on to Wendy. So I'm going to backtrack very quickly into Austin. Essentially, Michael Kors wrote down Prissy for Austin's, and Nina Garcia said, now I know what it reminds me of, Little Red Riding Hood. And Michael Kors goes on for a fair amount about how nobody wants to run around in costume like Doris Day delivering the mail. They talk about how it's not good for all body types and it's just not something that's viable. It really was a fail as far as something that could replace a postal service uniform, which all of us should know. But yeah,
I feel like so much was skipped in their understanding of the brief. Like,
absolutely. This is where I'm telling you, Maria, you get to the end of the exercise and then you're like, wait, let me go back to the beginning where I've got all these notes. And it needs to be comfortable. It needs to be easy to move around in. It needs to represent the US Postal Service. If you had actually paid attention and then been like, oh, the US Postal Service is letting this show potentially design their new uniform. It's
it's
obviously
crazy
Cara
balls.
and Jay have viable things. Becky said herself that Coruscant's she sees being approved by the Postal Service. But they do Rob next, which I have one, two, three, four, five comments on that, which I'm dying to hear what you think. But
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys enjoy Heather. Heather's fucking awesome.
oh, stop it. Nina Garcia called it boring. The shirt, they all hate the shirt, as everybody does. The pants, they hate. Literally, no pockets, Becky pulls out the darts word, which I have no idea what that means, but apparently, like the darts means the pants are going to fall off because there's nothing for them to hang their stuff on, which we also learned. Lots of stuff to carry around with. Nina Garcia says that his charm has gotten him through till here and he has no business being here. Dun dun
Yeah, that was
dun.
harsh.
Did I
That,
miss anything? It
oh,
was
it
it
was a
was
takedown. It was a systematic takedown of Arbor Rabio.
just a
It
big
really was.
crying emoji, like just
Yeah, it was.
thumbs
They're
down.
onto him. They are so fucking onto him now.
Oh God, it honestly, this part of it went 30 seconds because they jump right onto Wendy and they're like dowdy. Reminds me of everybody's going to think that you're nursing. Okay, thank you, Michael Kors. I didn't
Jesus.
know princess cut shirts mean that I'm nursing.
He
You,
literally, his information, he
he's
knows about
so
as much about women. You know what I mean? Like just because you design some clothes for them doesn't mean that you are a woman, Michael
well, but
Kors.
this is the thing that
Stay in your
honestly,
lane. Stay in
I,
your lane.
it bothered me. I put a big exclamation point and a question mark next to nursing because honestly, I was like, you're a dude who designs women's clothing. And so you've decided that princess cut shirts should be used for maternity nursing ladies, that there's no other use for it. And you, as a man, who designs clothes for women are like, princess cut, that's for engorged boobies that are nurse like it just rubbed me such the wrong way. And then he says that he wrote down farty as his adjective
Yeah, like old
for
farty. Yeah. It was so aging to Melissa. I mean, she instantly looked like she was
she's
40.
younger than him, fairly certain in this. How
She's
old? Oh no,
Melissa's
sorry, you were talking, I
16.
was talking about Wendy. Sorry.
Oh, the
Yes, but
Wendy
yeah,
is
farty.
30 something years old,
Oh,
36. She's a baby. But Wendy is just, she does have like an antiquated sense of style.
oh, Wendy's 40 and farty.
Yeah, she's faddy, as my father would say,
She's
faddy.
farty.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, like, dun dun dun. Any questions going into the results? Who's gonna come out
well,
on
I
top?
have to say, when they call the designers back, this is one of the first, actually, this may be the first one of the whole season where like I am like glued to my seat. I'm leaning in because I know that Rob might have to leave versus Wendy, and I fucking hate Wendy. I've hated Wendy since the jump, and I've wanted her to go since jump.
Well,
So,
before we get on to this
yeah,
excitement, who did you vote would,
would
who was
win
your choice
for the
for who
winner.
would get voted off or the winner? I think you guys do voted off.
Yeah, so my thing was Robert last time. Michelle and I think both were worth it saying that it was going to be Robert. We were thinking he was going to go soon because
Oh.
we thought 2 episodes ago that he was going to go, that like they were starting to see through his shtick. But the thing was, is he's just done better than the people who did, who left
Well,
a
he
little
got all
bit.
that charm and math skills, so
Well, I think
yeah.
he just smiles a lot. I always hoped that secretly it would be Wendy. I hoped it would be Kevin, and I waited forever for it to be Kevin. Kevin and
Oh
Wendy
yeah,
were
he was
my least favorite, and I thought they
yep.
were both creepy as fuck.
Oh hell yeah. They're both which is why it's interesting that Wendy's the one that ended up getting rid of Kevin. Villain takes out villain. Checkmate. Okay, so they start telling people what order they came in.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was surprised to see that Karasan was the winner.
No, not at all. And great compliments from the post office. I think I would love to know if any of those designs were ever integrated, but Kara came in first, followed second by
Oh, my Jay. I know
Bert.
you didn't like it as much, but I really liked the turtleneck. And then with Austin coming in third.
Yes. So exactly as we predicted in different orders. But yeah, so
Yeah.
those obviously the only three who could come in.
Yeah, I think this was a hard decision to,
Oh,
when I look at them, I think to myself, okay, so if Roberts are boring, but I do like the pants,
yeah.
Wendy's is ugly and aging, and I like nothing about hers. I
Wendy's
don't,
is terrible. She took the easy way out and did a terrible job. And Rob, honestly, he put together a whole outfit in a color scheme. To be honest, I'm proud of him because remember when he was always the person that couldn't sew?
I
He's
know.
always the weakest link, but he was fun to be around. But yeah, the time where they're giving them their individual feedback, I wrote down that Wendy has crazy eyes. And if you watch her reactions, even before it's just down to her and Rob, like when Kara leaves the stage, she knows she's gonna not see somebody next. So she gives a kiss and a hug to,
Yeah.
the other three, and then just walks past Wendy. And Wendy like smiles and giggles to herself. But when it's the two of them on stage, Wendy has like pure crazy eyes. And I watched her face the entire time, and she honestly gave me nightmares. Meanwhile, Rob, while Heidi's going
Staring at
through her
her.
speech,
Yeah.
he turned and he looked at her because there's only two of you left, and only one of you is going to move on. He looks at her and he keeps looking at her because he's trying to connect because that's the type
Yes.
of person that he is.
Yeah.
And then after they give all the feedback, I can't even say it.
I know he's out.
They let
I'm so sad.
Wendy
They keep Wendy.
is in, and
Yeah.
she walks back, and do you know what Jay says to her?
Oh, I loved it. He calls her a cockroach when she
Says
gets
you're a
backstage.
cockroach, yes.
Yeah.
Nobody can believe it,
No.
literally, including Wendy.
No, I really can't believe it. I really thought that Wendy was going to go, not because Robert's design was awesome, but because I thought it was better than hers.
It was a design,
Yeah,
period.
I felt like
Hers was
hers was
not.
just, yeah, it was stupid. And I think Robert was very charming and gracious in his exit. I thought it was funny when he
Oh, I
asked if
wrote
the
so
post
many
office
notes.
was
Oh,
hiring. Yeah, speak it.
I know, I loved that. His post office, are you hiring? Like the cutest little nervous joke. I would have probably done that. He says the sweetest goodbye. He says he's grateful for the opportunity. He says that he considers it to be an accomplishment. He says he's grateful for the people that he met, every single one of them, and he thinks that he learned something from all of them. And he's sure it's not goodbye, it's see you later. And honestly, like his whole scene cleaning up his desk, I was watching it and I was like, and this is where Kevin or Keith or whatever that terrible guy's name was put the line on Wendy's daughter's face.
Kevin, yeah.
But I was just like, ugh, Wendy won and Rob's going home. Rob would have at least been super exciting to see in the final three.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen if he could have risen to the occasion. Although I would have to
Yes,
say,
it was a
my
loss.
ideal would have been Wendy out on this episode and then Rob in the next one.
Yes, that would have
I
been
don't think
even
he ever
better.
makes it to the finals in real life. I really don't.
Well,
I don't,
I
I
guess.
just, with the current people, because I would want to see a collection from Austin, from Jay, and from Carasan. 100%. I would want to see a
Yes.
collection from all them. So
Although,
I'm
like
hoping.
I'm dying because if I go back on my notes, because honestly, I'd never paid attention to their ages or what they did. But Robert, fitting for him, 28 years old, a women's tailor. I'm just so curious what he's making for women. So this is where it's going to be so exciting to hear about the next steps. But yeah, it was sad to see him go, but he had to, unfortunately. And I'm happy with all but one of the remaining folks that are left.
Me too. Me too. It was a good episode, and we're sad to see Robbie go. But before we wrap up, we do have our
Hmm.
categories, my favorite part. So our first category is Top Gun. What's your favorite Tim Gunn moment?
Oh, do you want to say yours first? Because
All right.
mine's fairly obvious.
Well, mine was his moment with Wendy.
Oh, God, yes, that's purely number one, but I can come up with another one.
No,
Yeah, it
whatever.
was like terrible with a U. It was terrible.
It was so
Oh,
terrible, so terrible.
and he was honestly, I haven't seen him pull somebody aside and be like, listen, everything that you're doing is terrible. Like he cheered
He
on
hasn't had
Rob's
to.
pants idea, But like for him to pull her aside, and he said it himself. He was like, "Don't defend it. Just do the thing." Yeah, it was hilarious. And I don't feel like anything else he did was memorable. He was so dry in the post office. There was not a single joke. I don't have anything about Tim Gunn other than him pulling Wendy aside.
No, and that was like monumental because he really was he was on the verge of pissed, which for him, it took a long time to get there.
I'm curious, do you know, have you watched Project Runway other than this
Yes,
season?
I
So
watched multiple other seasons.
does he ever end up in the judging room, or is he
No,
always like the
no, he's the
host
mentor.
slash
He's
okay.
always the mentor.
He's
It's
like the
funny.
challenge coordinator slash guy.
Yeah, he's like their professor. He basically, because I just read his book, spoiler alert, we'll be talking about it for the pod pretty soon, The Natty Professor, where he talks about his career. And he was in this role in this show called Making the Cut. I think it was on Lifetime recently, where he was a little bit more involved with the judging and was a little bit more of an overseer rather than the mentor. He brought back Project Runway alumni and had them as the mentors for young designers. And I think he was much more in
Cool.
an overseeing kind of gig. And I did love him in Tim Gunn's Guide to Style. I have both of those seasons, which are really good, where he plays it's like a one of those like makeover shows where he goes to someone's house and he either goes with Veronica Webb, the supermodel in the first season, or I can't remember the woman's name, but she's like a famous designer in the second season. And they take apart your clothes and they throw away the shitty things. They even look at your bras and panties to make sure you have the right foundation garments. It's very cool.
Oh,
That's
Maria, you
very
just
cool.
gave me a flashback that's unrelated, so I'll save it for another time. But let me tell you, if you're a listener and you're listening right now, I ordered Tim Gunn's book so I can listen along to Maria talking about it on her podcast. So you should do the same. Anyway,
Yeah, no, honestly, the book is great, The Natty Professor. It's not really long and it has a lot of great lessons from someone who's been a professor most of his life. So tons of cool
and I
stuff.
hope he talks about the first season of Project Runway so that I can be like, I've seen it.
He doesn't talk, I don't think he spends a lot of time on it, but he does talk about that role specifically.
Oh, good.
So it is pretty cool. How about fashion faves? What
Oh,
was your
well, I
favorite
mean,
thing?
I think we said it ad nauseum. Everything that Coruscant put together, except I didn't get to see the t-shirt underneath the sweater, was great. But I would love, I think the single, it's tough. Like all of Coruscant stuff, I would have to put against Jay's sweater for the best item.
Yeah, I
And,
agree.
but I don't know, the shoes, the Wendy's red shoes, I really liked those. And I'm mad because they were Wendy's. But yeah, what about you? What did you like the most?
Of course, I really liked Carasan's entire look, but if I had to really pick, I really liked the vest. I thought the hat was cute too. I thought that set was super cute. It gave me Russian vibes, like
Yeah.
Russian military,
Oh yeah,
that
me.
look, yeah, that kind of Cold War chic. We'll call it Cold War chic.
Cold War tundra chic.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, you know
Gorky
what I
Park
liked?
chic. Yeah,
Those drawstring pants.
yeah.
You could wear long underwear underneath them, which us from New England know all about our skiing, sledding, snow shoveling, long underwear, hot chilies, all that stuff. So like you could put on like a pair of long underwear and wear your bouncy drawstring pants around underneath it with those red shoes from Wendy, and you'd look great.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I really I this there was some great fashion.
Yes, there
The
was.
good fashion was great
That
and the bad
Paddington
fashion
cape
was disgusting. And Paddington Bear made an appearance, which, that's a good night. That's a good night.
sure
We'll
is.
move on to our last category, whatever happened to, and this
Robbio.
week it's Robert Plotkin. So of course he finished in fifth place. After his elimination, he went back to work in fashion, and he worked at Laundry by Shelley Segal, and Hout Hippie before switching to portfolio management, believe it or not. After he left portfolio management, he opened a retail store and also became a real estate agent for luxury condos and homes in Miami. Since he was on the show, he also became a husband and a father. And he talks about it a lot on his Instagram, shows tons of pictures of his kids, but hasn't posted anything to Instagram since 2019.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Yeah, his the most recent was in 2019, which is wild. Yeah, this was a sad episode. I'm sad to see him go, but it just means, in the words of Robert, one step closer plus one more episode equals the finals. We're almost there.
Yes, minus Robert equals a winner.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you were here on the journey, Heather. Would you come back and visit again?
Oh, I would love to, and I will take fewer notes next time. I am very curious, actually, if Rob ever ends up on an All Stars or a reunion type Project Runway. I feel like he would have been a fan favorite.
You would really think that he would be someone who would have been back multiple times. And I don't think he ever came back, which is wild to me because other people like Daniel Cardenas, who was the first person to get kicked off of this season, he came back the next year and was also the first person to be kicked off.
That's because he's
Is because he's
very
garbage.
kick-offable.
Yeah, because his clothes are garbage. So,
Also, you and I can talk at length about my reasoning behind why Rob is not on Instagram anymore. Feels like an ultimatum situation to me,
yeah,
doesn't it?
something happened.
Oh my,
Something happened there. His wife was probably like, "Listen, stop putting pictures of our fucking
you
kids on Instagram."
stop DMing chicks on Instagram.
Yeah, or yeah, stop doing everything. Stop sending dick pics on Instagram.
Oh, Rob, I hope the best. Nothing but the best for you and you, Maria.
You too, Heather, and as everyone who's listening as well. Thank you so much, Heather, for joining me.
Oh,
If you
thanks for
loved this
having me.
episode, friends, please make sure to write us a review on iTunes and share with your other friends. And be sure to fire up that Peacock subscription so that you can join us next time when we move on to episode 9. We're getting one step closer. Robbie and Heidi Math say so.
Do you have a prediction for next week?
Oh my gosh. Mm.
Who do you think is going to get
If it
voted
isn't
off?
Wendy, I'm going to be heartbroken. I'll say it like that.
100% going into the next episode. After this episode, it is my true belief that Wendy is the next person set to be removed from this show due to lack of winnability.
And
So,
talent and charm and charisma.
oh, everything. So, yeah, my prediction is for Wendy as well.
Join us next time, and Heather, you'll be there too.
Thank you so much, Maria. I had the best time.
Thank you, Heather. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.